We'll just start a little bit on loosening. That's vertical. Just go straight into just kind of a little bit moving forwards and backwards. Dropping the body into the feet and back as well. Just kind of play a little bit with this kind of vertical direction and the front and back. Good. Coming to side, so really let the body be nice and flexible. Just feeling the weight really passing from one foot to the other. So good. Good. Just start to bring a rotational movement into it. So as if the body's going to kind of hang forward, let the arms go. And you just come forward this way. Play with the front and the back. Just working with a kind of spiral movement all the way through the body. That's good. Just bring the feet a little bit wider and then just going to drop from the pelvis and just keep the same movement. So now really feel the upper body can really release towards the ground. Just feel the nice and heavy in the lower body. And as if the upper body is just hanging. Nice and free. Wait, hello. Just let the head go, and your hoodie too is going to go down. Okay, and then just let the arms drop in right into the center. Let the head drop into it too. And just for a moment, just feel the body drop. Just feel the pull all the way through the spine. As you take nice deep breaths, feel the ribcage really also has a chance to lengthen, expand. And just release through the head. And then what I want to do in this case is just work with a kind of snaking movement. So you're going to kind of pass a wave through the spine. So allow the spine to release. And just imagine the spine's going to start to wave, wave, wave through it. And you can think about a kind of snake movement, or you can also think in terms of like a fish swimming through the sea. So the kind of origins of the spine are in the sea. So this kind of movement's actually kind of nice move for the spine. Just to kind of wake the spine up and free it a little bit. Okay, you're going to just start to swing the arms forward and backwards. And keep them released and try and do as little as possible with the arms. So less about swinging the arms and more about passing the motion into the arms through the center of the body. Start to release through the hips and then start to draw the body up. Each time coming up more and more. That's it. And you're just going to come to a swing. Just let the body come up high. And just release it down. Just a few, really
full range of motion all the way up, all the way back, and all the way down. So the hands just scrape the floor as you come down. That's it. Keeping the knees free, release. Just swinging the body down. And again. So good. And then just for now, just narrow the feet a bit. And just now with the arms to the side, just swing down, release it. So still a release towards the ground, but not all the way now. Just have the feeling of dropping the hips. Dropping the hips. Dropping the hips. And as much kind of importance on the upswing as the down. You feel the knees drop into the hips. The hips drop into the knees drop into the feet. Not the other way around, that would be absurd. So, this way. Awesome. Good. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, coming out to the side and then just letting the arm go to the shoulder and the opposite hip. That's it. And again, try and fill both of the moves. So this up kind of raise and this down swing. That's it. So. That's it, good. And again, just paying attention to this alignment between the hip, knee, foot. Just imagine there's basically a line that runs through the hip, straight into the knee. And most of the weight you want to kind of place into the heel of the foot. So try and avoid coming into the toe. In this case, try and sink back into the heel. As much as you can, just try to feel that the feet can start to release towards the ground. So they're going to kind of soften and release, just so that you can. We talk about kind of compressing, but you're actually just letting the weight settle down. So just, where you want the foot to kind of open, release, and really allow the weight to pass through to the ground. You just feel that kind of seal that you get with the foot. You get a nice contact point with the ground. That's it. Good. So, good. And then just coming to the shoulder. So again, just keep shoulder width apart. Just working front and back. And again, notice straight away I go to the front. So try and really balance the body out. Again, really try and open out much more to the back in this case. I feel as if the shoulders are kind of splitting away from each other. That's great. Good. And then start to try and really catch the movement in the hips as you come. And start to now tilt the body much more to the sides. And what will happen is the arms will start to come up more. And then once you feel like it, the shoulders feel nice and free, just start to come up right to the top of the head. Use this as a kind of centering exercise at the top. The weight again, stacking down through the body. You've really got to see the length through the movement and width right through the shoulders. Super. Good. And then once you've got that, just start to kind of carry the arms over. So now you're really working with a kind of, with the momentum in the body. Just swing it through. And this is actually a really hard exercise to do well. At the moment, I'm kind of carrying the arms and the shoulders, so I feel the tension in the shoulders. Try and really get the sense that the arms can really release through the movement. Just keep going, just try a few. That's it. Let's see. Okay. It's a little bit. So you've got lots of connections through the body, and the main one's kind of the hips to the shoulders, the knees to the knees and the elbows, hands, feet. But you can also think in terms of the connections internally in the body as well. So you've got the elbows. Think in this case in the elbows and the hips. So in this case, when you do this exercise, what I want to feel is the elbows get kind of dragged down through the hip. So it's as if the elbows kind of heavy and they get kind of dropped down. So just do at this point, this point in the movement, as you rotate down, feel the elbows kind of want to drop out. Drop out. So just place some emphasis. And it doesn't mean doing anything extra. It just means just really feel this connection between the elbows, hips, as the body drains down. And also as it goes up, just think about this connection. And you're trying to make it's a kind of feeling connection between the parts of the body. Very relevant for us later when we come into the Bokken work. This idea of the elbows dropping through the move. Just try a few, just see if you can create a kind of link between them. That's it. Good. Good. Okay, so we do what we did yesterday as well, just work on a little bit of stretches for the hips and then a few for the shoulders. So just starting with the hips, a little bit wider. Again, look for this alignment between the hips, knees, toes. In this case, because the feet are out, because the feet are wider, you're going to start to try to come out with the feet. And just feel you can come all the way to the ground. Take it nice and slow. So coming down to kind of full, almost a full squat. Just use the hands as, if you need to, as kind of support. And just really feel the hips. So just a little bit here in this position, just slightly rock into the hips. Very gentle movements. And use as much weight on the hands as you feel you need to, where you can keep the hips free. The hips should feel super, super, super loose in this case. Feel like nice and open. Good. And then just come in a little bit further away. Just start to rock the weight of the body side to side. You really try to, in this case, open out the back of the kind of underside of the hip. So feel the weight's going to kind of sink down to it. That's good. And then just holding one side. And then changing sides. And this one we did yesterday as well. Just use the hands as a kind of counterweight. Pull the hips back and just try and open more the hip. Pull the hips back beyond the knee. That's good. And if you can with this one, you can also use the hands in the ground. If you feel kind of free enough with the hip, just increase again even more. Pull the hip back and release it. Come back to the center and then just go to the other side. So kind of find the center of the hip onto the other side and then pull the hips back, pull the hands forward. And then if you feel like it, come into the ground with the hands even more deep into the hip. There we go. Great. And you won't disappear. Good. Good. Okay, now come back to the center. Bring the feet onto the same line. Think about opening now the knee, the back of the knee. Up. And just use the hands on the same line. Okay, from here, just to kind of activate the pelvis, I want you to just reach up with the hips and then come down. And as much as you need to use the hands in the ground. So if you need the hands as a kind of extra support, or if you don't, you can just kind of have the hands wherever you like. You can also reach them down into the legs. But just a few, we'll do about 8 nice, slow, deep movements. And really at the moment, the only thing that's really moving is the pelvis. So really feel the body's going to kind of fold from the pelvis. I think that's about 5. I'm really bad at counting in these kind of things. So somewhere 6. So that's 7. And on the last one, just allow the hands to come as much as you can towards the feet. And just hold it. And really try now to open up the lower back and hold the whole spine towards the head. And just see if you can create a kind of real release through the upper body. Use the breath as well, just to release more. And then from here, if you can, take the hands behind the back, clasp them, and stretch up through the shoulders. And then we'll go into the working with the shoulders as well. So just stretch up here. Okie dokie, good. Okay, release it. Bring the hands onto the ground, and then just walk the hands back towards the center. Okay, keeping the legs extended, and then pushing the hands into the floor, bringing the palms down, and as much as you need to release from the knees, but really try and get the palms into the ground, kind of forward fold with the knees slightly bent, and then bringing the body right back up to a vertical, stretch open through the knees, pull the hands up off the ground, and just let them find the feet, and then feel that you initiate the movement from the pelvis. So pulling the body up, nice and slow, up through the shins, through the knees, pull the body up, lengthen through the whole body to the thighs, and then just let the hands kind of settle up onto the body there. Good. Super. We'll go into the shoulders, so just stretching forwards, nice and tight to the body. Good. Release the other side. And out. So just above the head, stretch it open, pop it out. So change sides. Now we'll just do one more here. Go to the other side again, this way. Stretch it open and then allow the whole body to go with it. So all the body's going to kind of stretch it open. And you're basically using the weight of the body, again, just to open up the shoulder a little bit more. And then center the body again. Take the other wrist, stretch it over, and then just allow the body to kind of slightly fall over that way. There we go. Oi, ouch. Oi, and then go. Very good. You're just clasping the arms behind the back, opening the shoulders out. And this kind of feeling is kind of chin, the chin back and chest up. Release it, and then this time as you do it, just see if you can raise the hands a little bit further. Chest still up. That's it. And in this case, you can also kind of, if you feel like it coming to one side, I feel the shoulders a bit tight, come to this side. Shoulders a bit tight as well now, come to that side. So just explore a little bit this kind of carriage of the shoulders. Okay, releasing it forward. We're going to come to this position here. So basically the elbows are in contact with the body, all the way to the fingertips. Just go and press it out. Come all the way as if you kind of got something in your hands, kind of offering it up. Up. And again, the same feeling is kind of chest up, chin back. Same kind of feeling. Come to the full extension, the full reach that you can Keep the forearms together as much as you can. And then if you release it, open it out. Let the body kind of settle back down. And then refine the connection here. Fingertips, hands, forearms, elbows. Create width. And then pull forward. Yeah. Good. And release it. And then one more. Just find the connection here. Try and open the shoulders out, let them settle down, chin, back, chest up, and then let them come forward and up. And release it. Good. And then just do the same movement, just nice and loose now. So just letting the whole body kind of swim forward. There. That's it. So nice and loose. That's it. And then just reverse the direction. You're going to come out, good. So, simple. Taking the fingers together, just rolling the wrist. And see if you can do both directions. Just open out the contact with the palms, a little bit more free. Ooh, out. Work the fingers and the thumbs. So, and then just from here, just squeezing the palms, fingers together. And take the palms this way, take the hands this way. Squeeze and release. So just for the wrist, just work up and down the forearm with one hand gripping and one hand coming into this kind of really open koku position. Think of like a kind of petals of a flower opening out. And as you do that, you're really kind of gripping with the hand, with the other hand. That's it. Yeah, just work down the arm. If you feel any kind of tightness or you feel a kind of, maybe kind of sensitive part, tends to be usually this part. If we train a lot with Bokken work and these kind of things, this muscle tends to get a little bit tight. Also work the underneath of the forearm as well. That's that. And then just change sides. Release and grip. That's that. Good. So. Good. So. Okay, we're just shaking the wrists out and the feet. Yes, the foot. And then shake it to the front. And shake the toes out. And the other side. And then just let the body fall a little bit forwards, work to the shoulder. It's really the feeling like the arms are like big, thick, heavy ropes. And I kind of let them fall towards the ground. And the kind of weight of the hand will just kind of pass a wave through the whole joint. And that's good. Center the body back and then just come. So that's where we started. There. And just really bring awareness to the back. Keep the feet on the ground now and just let the weight settle each time to the ground. And make the movement smaller and smaller until you come to a kind of natural stop. Hopefully you feel a bit more centered. So take a Bokken. So. Good. Okay, we're going to play a little bit with the Bokken. So we're just playing with some movements yesterday, so they're kind of nice moves. So we tend to, with the Bokken, we'll either go straight into the first degree or at least come into a kind of cutting motion. And the tendency is to go into a kind of restrictive pattern of movement, which is nice. In a way, the Bokken is so simple that you can start to find a kind of freedom in that kind of restriction. But in this today, we're going to just work with a little bit more freedom than restriction. So we're going to work a little bit like we do with the Jo in terms of doing this, but I want you to use it like it's a sword. So I want you to keep the same grip as if you would have a sword. So it's a little bit different, just the same ideas. We're going to work through them like we do with the Jo, but just feel that it's really different. So it sounds a bit obvious, but you're working with a Bokken rather than a Jo, and the grip's totally different. So the grip's off center. So just feel what the difference is, but also try and maintain a sense of this kind of freedom that you have in these kind of Jo rotation movements. And if you need to, especially on this case, because the weight is coming over, just use the other hand if you need to as a kind of support. And I want the elbow to be kind of draining down again. So just focus on, if you feel it's kind of heavy in the shoulder, go to the center of the Bokken. And then it's you'll find it much more lighter. So just kind of play with it. Just one side for now. That's it. Okay, good. So, nice. Super, good. And then we're going to go to the left side. So in this case, when you do the left side, you can have the grip in the same way as if I would kind of be left-handed, or you can put the grip onto the left, into the bottom, and then basically roll it through this way. Now you feel a big difference because all the weight's towards the front of the Bokken. Or you can, if you feel it's a little bit unwieldy, then take the grip here. And if you feel it's really uncomfortable, go to the center. Just find the center of the Bokken, which is a little bit, for me, it's just here. Not necessarily in the center of the Bokken, but just play a little bit with it. That's it. And you don't want to over-rotate the shoulder in this one. Imagine the Bokken's like a kind of pendulum, so it's going to kind of bump, 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 bump. There we go. Good. Super. And then take both hands onto the Bokken as if you would grab it, and just look at the same exercise. So now the hands are quite mobile on the Bokken. So that's it. And if you feel like it, without feeling like the sword's going to kind of skip out of the hands, just start to increase the rotation. So the Bokken's going to basically come towards the ground. And if you need to, just release the hands. So don't worry about the hands being on the sword all the time, but try and keep a sense of a connection to the sword. So at least one of the hands is connecting to the Bokken. That's good. So just play a little bit with it. That's it. So once you kind of feel the connection with it, feel kind of comfortable, really start to kind of get the feeling the hips are involved in it. So just try and again create a kind of connection with the hip. The main thing I want to avoid in this case is doing this, kind of twisting the body out. So let the body all the time think of the body centered, grounded, and it's going to go. But it means the hips also going to kind of be involved in it. That's it. Good. Super. Good. All right, good. And when we do the Jo work, we tend to do this one, kind of coming out as if you're kind of doing a strike with the sword. In this case, with the Bokken. In this case, take the grip as it is, and rather than doing this kind of motion, imagine you're kind of stabbing with the end. So you're going to do this kind of motion, and then draw it back, there, and then draw it back. That's it. So the feeling's really like stab out, come back, stab out, draw back. And then think less about stabbing and think more about circular wave movement, the kind of spiraling movement. So the stab's how we kind of start with it. So bam, but it can get into a bit like this, which I want a bit more freedom with it. So less Captain Jack Sparrow and more, I don't know, something else. More water. You should feel totally kind of free.
Old locomotive.
Again?
Old locomotive.
Yeah.
The steam engine.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. Oh, interesting. It's like Errol Flynn or something. Cool. Like left hand now, you go like this. And again, you can work with the hand on this position, or you can also experiment with the hand on the left, right at the bottom. So that's where we would normally grab the Bokken. So just feel this. Yeah, good, Adrian. Yeah, that's the next level. I'm going to spotlight Adrian. 1 second.
Oh,
Sorry about that. You asked for it. This is the next step. So this, what this is actually doing is freeing the hands up, because we tend to work with the Bokken one-sided with both hands. This is actually a little bit working with the hands separately. So that's where we go next, working with two. Good. Yeah, good, super. Okay. Oh, you've started a trend now, Adrian. Good. Good. So, okay, just one point about this one. When you do this, also think that you can also rotate. Think about the blade of the sword. So think that you can also rotate it. So the kind of stat, if I do like this, it's kind of very linear. But think that you can also rotate the blade up, and I can also rotate to the other side, a little bit trickier. So you can also let the blade come up this way. Up this way. So I think you've got these kind of two rotations, internal and external. So just play with them a little bit. So just open the moon out a little bit. It's why it's quite important in this case. Don't think so much about function. So don't think so much about kind of it as kind of stabbing movement. Think about the kind of freedom of movement. So it should go very light, very loose. So good. And the same thing just now with both hands. So the left hand's on the base of the sword. The right hand's just about 1 fist above it, just about here, and then just focus on doing the same thing. Now you'll feel a little bit more restricted, but try and, with the grip, keep the sense of freedom. And what you've got to do now is really strengthen the connection between the hips to both hands. So actually one hand's very easy to do. We're used to doing it all the time. So we're used to kind of connecting one hand. Now what the Bokken asks you to do is connect into a very strange position with the hands. If you're not used to kind of using tools like hammers and things like this, the Bokken can be quite difficult. So just now try and create a kind of feeling connection between the hips and the sword. Now both hands need to be involved in it. And again, just start to loosen the movement out. So loosen the movement out. So, and it's naturally going to start to come into walks. Let me just see. Yeah, good. And still keep the idea of the sword coming away from you. So the challenge of this is that the sword's coming out away from the body, and then you're trying to draw it back. So feel that the hips are kind of pulling, the sword's being pulled away from you, but I need to kind of anchor it in the body. That's it, just that. It should feel very loose, very flexible in the body. Should feel kind of very freeing. And that's very super good. Good. And then we're going to go back to one hand. When we do the Joe work, you do this movement this way. And again, you can do this with the Bokken, it's no problem. But in this case, keep it like you would use the sword, and you're going to basically release it towards the ground this way. Now, in this case, we're just going to start like this, nice and simple. You've got an upwards arc and a downwards arc. And at the risk of really scratching my ceiling, you're going to go this way, release it, and then this way. This way, this way. Think about, rather than kind of cutting, think about kind of drawing with a sword. So it's like the tip of the sword, like a pen or a paintbrush, and you slide up the movement. Release it and then slide it down. And it's kind of interesting, in Japan, all the best swordsmen were the best painters. So they really made a connection between the act of painting and the swordsmanship. It's really kind of a clear connection. Also in China too, comes from China. Wait, don't hit the ceiling. Good. Okay, good. So even though, don't necessarily think about the function, but think about the blade side of the sword. So if you think that the back side is the flat side, the blade side is this part. So in this case, feel that the blade part is going to slice through the air. And then what I want you to do here is rotate the blade back up. It's like this now. So all the time the blade is slicing, release it, slicing. So there. So you've all the time got this sense of the blade side. That's it. Which is different from the Joe because the Joe has no side. The Bokken has one side. Well, this has two sides. Yeah. One very useful side. Good. Okay, and then just go to the other side. So again, you can keep the Bokken in that side or that side. Just feel free to experiment with it. I'm just going to move away from the lights. But just drop it down, release it up. Drop it down, release it up. And if you feel it's a bit uncomfortable, just go to the left, go to the grip, as if you were kind of left-handed. Slice up, slice down. So really working on a diagonal. Slice, slice, slice. Good. Super. Yeah, good. Very nice. Looking good. Super. Good. And now both hands on the Bokken. Just allow now this position. This. So this is a bit, again, you're going to feel a bit more restricted. So that the tendency is to go into these kind of positions. I really feel that the weight of the body is going to drain down through it. Keep the grip nice and loose, and then feel that you can release it up. Release it towards the head, and then slice it down. So what you're basically gonna have to do now is accommodate the grip. The grip is double-sided, and accommodate it, especially in this position here. I've got to really release the body again this way, and then from here I've got to really release the body again. So don't let the arms now tie you up. This is the problem with the Bokken work. So this is the problem. Try and go into it. Let it. Don't let the grip lock the body up. So. And if you feel totally free with it, just start to really open it out. Good. And then go to the other side. So you've got this diagonal now this way, this way. This side will feel much more free because that grip's set up the way where I use the sword like this, but this way. So slicing up, slicing down. Again, just think about this slicing blade side. So. Might feel a little bit like golf or something, but yeah, the same principles apply to the movement. It's kind of a swinging move through the body. That's it. That's it. Good. Good. And just play now with these diagonals, basically mixing them up so you can stick to one side, but you can also bring the sword back over this way. And you're basically now working as if we do with the Joe work when we do this. So, like this. You now do like this. And again, look for the freedom in the joint system, especially the shoulders. And feel like the hips initiate the movement. The hips initiate it. So the whole body's involved in it. Just give it a go. Good. And you can do the upswing or the downswing in this case. So you can also do this. Or you can just kind of mix them all in. Change direction. Super. Okay, good. And we're just going to explore the horizontal. So back to one hand. Again, center the body down, and just now you're going to kind of draw the sword out to the side. The same thing applies as you come back. Rotate the wrist out so that the blade's basically pointing forward, and then you draw it back across the other way. Change this way. So real basics like this. Glunk, slice, glunk, slice, glunk, slice. And then once you've got the kind of feel for the movement, just start to make it a little bit more fluid. And really, in this case, really keep to, see if you can keep to a really kind of pure horizontal movement. So the sword basically lines up with the arm. Wait, here is off. That way. That. So it should be, feel like the sword really an extension of the arm. So all these exercises are actually about, whilst they're also fun, they're also about really connecting my feeling into the sword, which means creating a really good connection with the hand into the sword. So the sword feels constantly like it's safe in the hand. Especially important if you work with a katana. You need to be really kind of secure with the katana, which doesn't mean being rigid. It means being really strongly connected into the sword. Wow, that's it. Wow. And then just feel, in this case, once you've got the kind of coordination for it, you might see these in kind of the iaido. So you see these as a kind of the iaido, slicing out with the katana. In this case, because we use kind of really full body movement working with spirals, have the sensation now that as you slice out, the whole body's involved in the kind of movement. And then as you roll back, the whole body's involved in the movement. So feel that the relationship in these is these kind of taijutsu movements like Ikkyo. So really, I can do this obviously just with the arm. Well, possible. And with a katana, it doesn't actually matter. It's just this 3-foot razor blade, so I just do whatever I like with it. But in this case, really have the sense that it's really about training spirals in the body. So start to really draw the body into it. That's it. And then that's just one side, so go to the other side. And again, you can experiment a little with the grip. Slice across, slice across, slice across. And just explore the difference between having the hand on the end and not. And there's a really old Qigong exercise, and it's called the magical tortoise learned sword work or learned sword play. And it basically involves the body doing this all the way around the back. So it's a really free movement this way. So we'll do that maybe one time next week. So it's a really nice movement to do. But in this case, keep the body really centered. It's going to ground. And again, just play with the full range of motion through the forearm. And then once you feel you're kind of really connecting into it, just start to bring the body into a kind of big spiral through it. So that's it. Keeping really a sense of a horizontal play. So that's it. Good. So nice. Yeah. Okay, good. Just notice one thing in this case. I should have probably mentioned it before, but just watch that the wrist's not too loose. So as you do this, I can do all these movements like this, where the wrist's totally loose. And then what happens is like this. What I tend to do with this, if the wrist feels kind of loose, is grip stronger with the hands. And then as I do that, I'll actually feel the weight of the bokken. It basically goes against the wrist, or I feel that the bokken's just going to release. So what I don't want to do is really work against the wrist. So create a kind of flexibility through the wrist and feel that the wrist is really an extension now into the sword. So feel that this whole area is actually sealing into the bokken. And then basically work the connection like this. So rather than asking the wrist to do all the heavy work, I do most of the work now with the forearm. That's it. And then just come now into two hands. So two hands on. And again, it's going to feel a bit restrictive on one side rather than the other. But just try and open again the back and keep a sense of looseness through the whole body. And if it means releasing one hand to do it, do it. So this is about opening the body out as well. So just at least have one hand really connecting into the bokken. And if you can do it with both connecting in through the movement, this is good. And again, once you get into the kind of swing of it, just start to spiral through the movements a little bit more. Right, it's like this. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so one of the restrictions with the bokken work is the sense of impacting with it. And in a sense, when we do the Joe work, we have a sense of, we talk about infinity. This movement's like an infinity. It doesn't stop. So there's no sense of kind of gung, gung, gung. And in this case, when we do this movement, there's a tendency now to go into this, bam, gung, gung. But really feel this is like an infinity. So I'm actually just constantly slicing with it. Slice, 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 slice. When I'm actually doing this with the hip, it's like this. So it's a little bit like lessening the impact of it. Yeah, good. So, good. Nice. Got it. So, very nice. Good. And then the one we've not done, the really obvious direction, is this vertical. It's usually where we start, so we'll just finish there and then we'll mix them all in. So just keep finding the back now and release through. So this is the simplest one. So the problem now is it'll feel the most restricted. So just feel that you've got to kind of slice through the body. So I'm just going to release it towards the ground. So very, very simple. And this is really the foundation of all the bokken work we do. So really kind of pure vertical movement. So dropping everything towards the ground. Yeah, good. Nice. There we go. Good. So. Good. And all of you have actually got this kind of seal with the bokken. So one of the problems with the sword is this area. So as you do this movement, just watch for, as the sword comes down, this happens. So there's a sense of, this gets kind of pulled out. So I know this kind of, I was in the gym the other day and they kept telling me constantly like, pull the chest up. And I said, no, I don't want to, I don't want to pull the chest out because it's kind of splitting the body up. So I was kind of arguing with them, but just have the sense that you're going to sink through the body this way. But just watch for this happen. This is kind of muscle man technique, but try and get the sense of the whole body's going to kind of drop down. I want that whole area to be totally relaxed and free. So just look for that. Just look for a sense of freedom in that move. So, better. You should feel the back totally lit up and the front should feel almost kind of empty. Yeah, good. That's it. So just let the drain down. Oh, Ben.
You're not shifting your hips a little bit, tilting your hips a little bit forward to create the arc, or not?
Yeah, the hips are going to what do you say? Tilt. The hips are going to kind of tilt forward, but I basically need to do it with a sense of extension. You see in our style, you see a lot is that the hips are stiff, and then you get this. So what we call the kind of the duck back. You get this kind of the hips basically get pulled out from. So yeah, keep the sense of extension, a little bit like we do in this exercise. So with the feet wide and then the pelvic.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, I'm going to basically what we call kind of breaking the vertical. So the spine's going to kind of lean forward, but I need to do it with a sense of extension through the spine as well. So yeah, the pelvis is kind of free throughout. Okay, good. Nice. That's it. So, that's it. Good. That's it. Bernie, very good. Good. Super, super, super. Good. Okay, and then lastly, we'll just play a little bit with all these movements. We'll just start with these kind of slicing movements because I'm going to kind of stay away from the saburi because they're kind of restrictive and we go back into the kind of restrictions. So try and open out these movements. Now you're going to come here, slice out to the side this way. And then for this one, keep it nice and simple. Step with the back foot in and then just cutting through with a yokomuchi this way. And then come back into the right foot. Allow all the body to kind of create this slice. Yeah. Slice it out and then draw it back this way. And come into the cut this way. And just do as you feel like it. Keep the hands, the focus can be as free as you want or as light as you like. Just really focusing on the whole body movement. So you've got a kind of sideways slice and then a yokomen coming over. That's it, good. You're gonna go slice out and then slice forward like this. Good. Yes, good, Isabel. Wham. Yeah, good, 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 good. So, nice. So the main thing when you do this is really to try and locate the center line of the body. So as you do this movement, use the top of the head to do the movement. It's very easy to now do this, and then this, kind of with the arms like this. But just have the sense as you come to here, find the top of the head, and then slice it through. And then you have a much more powerful movement. So it's like this, and then this, coming right through the center of the body. So just see if you can locate the center of the spine, the center of the body. Try and anchor the spine into the cut. That's it. Super, super, super. Very nice. Okay, good. Okay, good. One point about this. Just watch as you make this slicing movement. Just watch for this happening. I basically slice. The whole body kind of comes out to the back. This is a little bit when we make the movements with the jaw, that the body basically stays forward focused. So in this case, imagine a partner's to the front of you. What I'm doing is slicing across whilst keeping my attention on the person forward. But just watch for the body's going to kind of start to come back. This is okay if I'm going to kind of go that way. So if I'm going to kind of go that way, which sometimes I do, it's a nice kind of exercise to do. Just think that the attention is always going to point to where you are going. So think about where you're going next, which is basically here. And then if I was to go to the back, I would point a little bit more the body to the back and then continue into this way. So just think about where your next move is in this case. And just trying to align to that direction with the whole body. That's it. Super, super, super. Okay. So. And then we'll go to one more pattern. This is a bit more complex, so I'll show it nice and slow. You're going to now step from the back foot, rotate in and find the slice this way. And then from this position, we're going to add another rotation. So I want you to bring the back leg in again, slide through, and then you're going to cut onto the left side. Just show a few times. If you get lost, just follow me. I'll keep repeating it. Then you step in, slice, Let's bring the whole back leg, the back body in, slice through and find the left side. So there's two big rotation movements. One in, and then the second one in and slice into the back. Let's give it a try. Let's see. Got it. Yes.
We end up facing the way we started.
Let me see. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You end up, yeah, just on the left side in this case. Oh, let's see. At the risk of confusing you all, this is actually a nicer movement, so I'm going to change it. So as you come to this one, this is going to be the same here. Now we'll do the same as we did before, just release it through the head. And now you're going to do another Irimi Tenkan. So you're going to step in, rotate, find the center of the head, and then slice down this way. So now you're going to end up back on the right side. So hopefully this is actually a little bit easier. The other one's a bit complicated. So you step in back side, slice, and then you just reverse that movement again. Find the top of the head and slice it through this way. So you've got a slicing move and then a nice big yokoman. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Good. Super, super, super. Nice, nice. Good. Wow. Oh, yeah. It's super off balance. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Good. Looking good, Karen. Good. So, yes, nice. Okay, good. Yeah, this is a nice move also. If you think about freedom in the movement. Now, as I go into rotations, the tendency is to lock the spine into the sword. And in a sense that the sword's basically one kind of unit. Think of the spine now as really kind of relaxed into a kind of spiral. So as you come through, think now about really flexibility through the spine. And also now as you release it, you think about there being a real sense of flexibility through the spine. So just really have the sense of nice big open movements. Nice big open movements. All the time the spine should feel very free. So the sword's connecting to the spine, but it's connected in a flexible way, not in a kind of blockchain. That's it. It's feeling like a whip through the body. That's slow. Super. With the last 30 seconds or so, just you can mix in these kind of different kind of slicing moves, just put them out freely, and also just feel free to come into different movements as well. So thrusting movements, slicing, cutting moves. Just feel very kind of free with the movements. If you feel you get kind of restricted, come back to these kind of movements that we did at the beginning. So I might start to play a little bit with this, just to feel a little bit more free. I'll play a little bit with the sword, and then come into slicing. Right. And come into thrusting as well. So you've got Shomen's, Yokomen's, skis. You've also got really different kind of movements. Wow. Good. We'll just really explore different possibilities. And this is about not forgetting the saburi. It's about using the saburi as a base for the movements. So the saburi form a kind of foundation. And then you can basically extend those kind of basic practices out into other movements. Good. And the last 10 seconds or so. Nice and free.
Go. Yeah.
Great. That's it for today and the week. So by that. So. はい。どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
Right. Super duper. Good work.
Thank you.